Hey there, how's it going? It is Maestro here, and welcome back to episode 3 of Road to Endgame. Here's the list of our goals that we're working on for the early game. Last episode, we were able to get our Shadow Blade of Despair, our Daemon class, our Doom Knight class, Chaos Slayer class, and get our Shaman class. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. To start off this episode, the first thing we're going to do is I wanted to get a new armor set because I had the Benediction set, which I'm using for my wizard enhancements, but I kind of only had a scuffed set that I was using for luck enhancements, so I decided to get the Fallen Knight set from A-Ranks in /join Celestial Realm. To get it, you need to merge 75 or 100 of the infernal tokens, which drop from the mobs around the area. The drop rate from the mobs in the area is pretty good. I'd say it's probably around 50%, and after around 15 minutes I was able to get the tokens I needed to get both the armor as well as the helmet for the set. There are also a bunch of other cool items in this shop. I really like A-Ranks' art. He or she, I'm not sure, has this whole area, the Celestial Arena and Celestial Realm area. So if you're not into kind of the dark theme that this armor has, they have a ton of other golden and sort of holy looking sets as well. The thing that I was missing from the set was a cape. I didn't really like the cape that went in the set from that merge shop, so I ended up coming down to this map here, which is called Evil War Null, and you can just come and kill the undead warriors in this map. It is kind of laggy. For some reason the animations on these mobs are really taxing on Flash Player, but we are farming for the art or Nolgas approval, which can be merged in the shop, 35 of them, for a nice color custom cape that I picked to go along with my set. A good tip for this area is to use, I was using Paladin, but also use another class that has extra damage to undead. For Paladin, their 4 skill deals extra damage to undead monsters, which made farming this one up really quick and easy, probably about 2 to 3 minutes. And this is the set that I came up with. I think it goes pretty well with the EXP boost sword, the Shadow Blade of Despair that we got in last episode, and the cape defaulted back to gray, but I ended up fixing it back to the color that matched our armor. Next thing we did was we took on our first bit of lore. So there are obviously the 13 Chaos Lord Saga, and where we start off is in Mobius. So I kind of did a speed run through this area since I've played it so many times, but this is where you are preparing to face Chaos Lord Ashirion. So there's this fairy area, and then, which is actually pretty easy. All these monsters have really low health because we gained a bunch of levels last episode when we were farming gold. So we're pretty over-leveled for this area, so it didn't really take me longer than 30 minutes to complete the whole storyline. But as far as Mobius goes, this area here is definitely my least favorite. It's called Cornelius or something like that, and it's kind of this castle cathedral thing that is filled with these gargoyles, and it's super hard to navigate around the maps. There's like a bunch of invisible walls that you always run into, and the story is just kind of strange. You're, looking for this part of the cube that's hidden behind some tapestry and this weird castle thing, but it doesn't really take that long to get through. Just a lot of killing the same gargoyles over and over and over again. After this area, you are sent back up to the tower, and we accidentally spawn the Hydra, the Chaos Beast, and we just have to get a few of these fangs to knock the tower over. And by the way, the items that this monster drops are actually really nice, kind of nostalgic, but if you are a non-member player, some of them are non-members, I know the armor and the helmet are, and they are really nice for early game. Just to have around, I think that the armors look nice. But now we were able to knock the tower down, and we are here to face off against Chaos Lord Ashirion. There was another guy in here, probably botting or farming Nulgath materials, so it was not a difficult fight. It's not anyway, even if you were in here solo. But we were able to kill him, and whatever we do, reverse his spell with some mirror that we picked up somewhere. I don't know, I haven't read the story for a good while, and we were able to finish up the Mobius story. And after I finished that one up, it really only took me maybe 20-30 minutes, so I decided to move on to probably my least favorite out of all the sort of Chaos Lord stories, which is Doorfold. I think that it is a really cool area and had a lot of potential, but I really don't think it lived up to the potential that it couldn't have. There's this kind of weird, useless area in the beginning where you're not even sort of in the area, and yeah, it sort of comes full circle at the end, but really doesn't make much sense to me. So you're here, you're killing these bears for the llama farmer and finding this dude's gold in Pinewood Forest and running all their errands before you can even get into the story. So, I mean, it really doesn't take long, but it used to when, the best farming class in the game was a mage. But look how cool these maps are and this area is, and it just kind of sucks that it really isn't that interesting to play. Sort of the premise of the story is that this Chaos Lord came in and he basically broke through the ceiling of their underground city and has enslaved them, like the dwarves, to mine some chaos gems for him. And they band up and you take him over. So, it's pretty generic, but it does introduce you to some important places, like that forge that we were in, and we'll travel back to after we kill these chaos drows here, is important for some late game farming, where you are able to turn in some ores to create some items for your necrotic sword of doom, and also some other items along the way. I think your blinding light of destiny as well. You also need that forge unlocked. So as well as completing the story, we are also setting ourselves up for success in terms of lessening the grind later on. This area is actually probably my favorite, sort of like art-wise, of the Doorfold area. I think it's super cool, like the upper sort of city with the overlooks and the rocky trails, but also it's probably the worst story-wise. You're talking to this sort of seemingly traitorous guy, but he's really working for the Chaos Lord the whole time, but luckily it goes by pretty quick. You end up getting thrown in prison, and this is where we are just finally attempting to break out and face off against the Chaos Lord. I don't know if any of you guys enjoy this area or which Chaos Lord is your favorite, but definitely let me know down in the comments or something like that if you actually like this area, or you sort of share in my dislike of the Doorfold storyline. Here's this kind of strange mini game where you are riding on the back of the Chaos Dragon and defeating the Chaos Beast some kind of way. And it takes a little bit to get used to, but after that, it is pretty simple. And here is the Chaos Beast, just like the Hydra in Mobius. There, along with every Chaos Lord, there's a Chaos Beast, which is what's opening up that portal to the Queen of Monsters, which you can see in those little Dracoth cutscenes. But this one was also pretty easy to beat, obviously, since we're a little over-leveled for the area. And now we are climbing up to face off against the Chaos Lord. So this is like a little cutscene where you like ran out of breath running all the way up to the top of the mountain, and he waits to fight you. And then we are finally able to face off against the Chaos Lord. This is a really easy fight. You just got to make sure that you focus on the dragon first. Otherwise, as you're about to kill the Vath or whatever his name is, then the dragon will one-shot you. So make sure that you kill the dragon first before you focus on the main Chaos Lord guy. So finally, after about an hour, we were able to finish up with the Doorfold saga as we throw the dragon control sword, destroying the amulet. That allows the dragon to be free of the mind control, and he takes away Vath to do the bad to him, I guess, or something. And so we finished up the Doorfold. The last thing that I wanted to do in this episode, I say last thing, there's still 5 minutes left, is I wanted to cross another item off of our list before we ended it off, and so I decided to go for the Blade of Awe. This was a little ambitious at my level and my power level, but I figured if there were people around that were willing to help, then it shouldn't take too long. So the first quest here, we had to find the Hilt, which is farmed from any dragon or dragon boss in the game. I chose the easiest one, which is /join green dragon. It is the green dragon in Greengard East, and you just have to kill it maybe 4 or 5 times. I think it's a 25% drop chance. So that quest is pretty easy to start it off. So there you can see I found the, I think it's the Hilt, or the Stone Writ, or something like that. And you can move on to the next quest. The next quest is to find the handle, which can be found from any of the elementals in /join Gilead. It's any of the elementals actually in the whole game, but these ones are in the most populated maps. There's 3 of them in this map here. They are a little bit more difficult to kill than some other monsters we've been farming. However, if you have a comparable farming class, you should be totally fine. It's about a 5% drop rate from these, so it shouldn't take all that long. And as you can see, I clicked a little too fast and ended up disconnecting. That's been a pretty big problem, actually, with the servers recently, with everyone on during quarantine, so hopefully they can get around to fixing that issue. But moving on from there, here is actually where we're getting the Hilt, and the Hilt for the Blade of Awe can come from any undead monster in the game. However, I decided to just think of the easiest undead monster I could find, which ended up being these skeletons in /join Castle Undead again. This one doesn't take too long. I would say maybe it took me around 10 minutes to find the Hilt, and when we were able to turn that in, we could move on to the next quest. The next one is the first one that ends up taking you a little while. It's to find the blade, which can be found from the Hydra, so the Chaos Beast that we summoned before, so you do have to have Mobius completed. But to help us out in this, I decided to get an item on our goals list, which is the K-Eruptor Unlocked. and you can get this in /join Chaos War if you are a member for 10,000 gold from either Gravelin or Altion. And this weapon ends up doing an extra 50% damage to Chaos labeled monsters. So the Hydra is labeled Chaos, as well as the next monster that we're going to have to fight, boss actually, that we're going to have to fight to unlock our Blade of Awe. So it is a worthy purchase at this point. So we're using this over our EXP blade for right now. So this is a 1% chance, and we ended up getting it after 136 kills of the Hydra, so just a little bit below average. Maybe took me around 15-20 minutes maximum. However, the next part is what really takes most of your time, and that is to find the runes. So after we turn in the blade, we unlock the runes quest, which is a 0.1% drop from any of the Chaos Lords, but a 0.5% drop from the Sand Sea boss. So I surfed around on a server. This guy is pretty powerful. He will kill you most likely if you're soloing it. So I found an Arch Paladin who I farmed with here for about an hour. When we were finally able to get the item, he was also farming for the Blade of Awe, so shout out to Duran. He was a big help in me completing this goal of mine. So he provided some good company during the farm. And that is the last item that we needed once we complete this quest. To merge together our Blade of Awe. So I'm just saying goodbye, adding this guy as a friend because he was a nice guy, and we were finally able to get our last item to merge our blade. And the Blade of Awe opens up something called Awe Enhancements, which give special effects to your weapons, and they also open up the Armor of Awe quests, which are much more difficult than the Blade, but definitely something that we can get into in the mid-game and late game. So that's going to be all we do in this episode. We got a lot done, a bunch of the lore done. We got a bunch more things, crossed off of our list, including our Blade of Awe, as well as our K-Eruptor unlocked. And that's going to end off today's episode, so hopefully I will see you all in the next one. Bye!